Hello there, people. Sorry I've, taken a while to do this video, but, I'm here now. Today's video is gonna be about, MCU Spider-Man and why I think he sucks. And in general, why he sucks, why I think the MCU is kind of done and dirty, you know? It started with, he was brought in during Civil War, the MCU didn't have him for a few years. And part of me now is like, I kind of wish they didn't get him back. I kind of wish Sony kept him. And I get it. Some will make the argument, yes, Sony's made some really bad movies. Yes, some of the amazing films were not good. The first one sucked. The second one I don't hate like others, but it's still probably not good on a technical level. But the one thing they got right was Spider-Man. I actually think those movies, Raimi films are god tier, but in terms of Spider-Man, I think those movies actually got that right. His Spider-Man was actually a complete nerd. Let's compare him to, and then you look at, and here's the thing, I'm not shitting on Tom Holland. I actually don't think he's particularly a bad Spider-Man. I'm okay with a lot of the costume designs, other than the whole part where you actually looking through the fucking Iron Man vision. I hated that. So I'm like, this is just an Iron Man suit with webs. And that's where it starts. His suit is a glorified Iron Man suit, Like I was saying, you can see that basically the fucking Jarvis vision, from his why? If you at least cut that out and it's just a technical suit, that's one thing. But when they do that and then everything is handed from him from Tony, and it just really bothers me. And because Spider-Man has always been about consequence. I mean, you look at the Raimi films. You think, look at those first two movies. You think, yeah, he gets his powers, but things don't get better. Yeah, he gets Mary Jane in the second movie, or the end of the first one, but then they break up, then she's getting engaged with somebody else. He has those problems, he has job problems, and all this shit, And there's consequences. Even trying to save people, there's consequences. You don't have that in these new movies. Like in Homecoming, that scene with the boat, Tony comes in for the save, and the only thing that really happened is he got his cool suit taken away. But then he gets an even cooler suit in the end of the movie, so that kind of defeats that anyway. It really, he's popping. He doesn't even get picked on in school. I mean, Flash Thompson is just he calls him some shitty nicknames. That's all. When in the actual, the original Raimi, even in the fucking Garfield movies, Flash Thompson was actually a legitimate bully and actually looked like an athlete. I didn't even mind the race. I mean, I did a little bit, but you could have at least got a fit-looking Indian dude. This fucking skinny kid that I could see Tom Holland beating his ass. Like, really? And it also doesn't help that his movies feel like I'm watching a Disney Channel movie, just Spider-Man. Like those high school scenes. It's just, the no Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy bothers me because I'm sorry, Zendaya sucks. She's nothing about her character is that memorable. I At least Emma Stone was memorable in those not the Rainy ones, in the Garfield movies. Yeah, it's windy right now. Another thing is the whole cutting out of Aunt May. Like, don't get me wrong, I love looking at Marissa Tomei. Yeah, she is fine. I'm not debating that, but let's keep it real. She's just there for MILF jokes. And it was fine the first few times, but then in the second one with Happy, oh, I'm with this hot MILF. That's basically all she was. You don't have a genuine moment between her and Peter. Even in I'm going to keep saying this. I get a lot of people hate the Garfield movies, but it's true. You get, that moment in the Garfield movies. Like that moment between him and Aunt May. You don't get that in these. She finds out he's Spider-Man and that's it. She's just there. And it's kind of sad because it's like they're just taking out all these elements that make Spider-Man Spider-Man, and then the biggest one, the cutting out of Uncle Ben. And the people's justification for it is, well, it's not that big a deal, but I'm like, Okay, imagine cutting out the Wayne murders for Batman. And I understand you don't have to show it. I get it. People don't want to see the Uncle Ben die again, but he should still have an effect on him. They should. Why can't you even there be a scene with her between him and fucking Aunt May about Uncle Ben, or that scene where Vulture drops a bunch of rocks on him, and when he's lifting him, instead of fucking hearing Tony's voice, that should have been Uncle Ben's voice. Just get an actor. Hell, maybe try to convince if the original actor from the Raimi film, Uncle Ben from the Raimi movies, I don't know if he's alive or not, but if he is, get him to just dub some lines and say that's what should have fucking been it. Sorry, I'm cursing a lot. Actually, no, I'm not. It really bothers me that this is the biggest element of Spider-Man, and you're just cutting it out because we got to make everything about Tony, and then that gets to another thing. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep going on about the Uncle Ben thing. It's so important. Oh, he gets a suitcase that just what I think it was UB on it or something. That's their little nod to Uncle Ben. Are you kidding me? That's it. But we gotta give fucking a million things about Tony. I'm not saying Tony can't be his mentor, but I'm sorry. Uncle Ben is his character. Just as the Thomas and Martha Wayne are the character of Batman, in essence. If you cut those elements out, Batman's not Batman. Whereas, same thing here. No Uncle Ben, no Spider-Man. That's just the way I fucking see it. And then the excuse making of, "Well, you don't need to see it." Well, okay, I'm not saying you have to see it, but fucking, that's a big point, and just acting like he doesn't matter is fucking dumb. And this isn't even just being like the comics. This is just a fact. Another thing I was gonna get to is his villains aren't even his villains. I gave a pass with Vulture, but fucking Far From Home, I was like, really fucking Mysterio worked with Tony, and they're fighting for a Tony fucking Tech MacGuffin. Are you fucking serious? Really? And then I just felt like Jake Gyllenhaal in general was wasted in that movie. He's a good actor, and you don't do anything with him as a villain. You have to make all his motivations for fucking Tony. It's glorified Iron Man 4. Just this time it's a Spider-Man suit with webs, but it's still an Iron Man suit almost. It's ridiculous. It's basically Spider-Man cleaning up Tony's fucking messes. And the fact that, oh, in the third movie, it's gonna be Spider-Man on his own. Really? 3 fucking movies it takes for Spider-Man to become Spider-Man on his own? Really? And you notice, and throughout this so far, I've not blamed Tom Holland. It's not his fault. I think it's the writing. I think it's maybe Kevin Feige. I don't know. I don't know. It's really sad. It just seems like they care more about having that aesthetic of Spider-Man. Meaning, like, oh, it's Spider-Man, in quotes, with the MCU characters. And it just seemed like that's all these people cared about, was getting them in the MCU to team up with their heroes. And that's why I'm not going to lie. When I first heard Sony took them back, I was actually I was happy. I was like, oh, we might finally get a real Spider-Man again. Because I'm sorry. Yes, you don't have to like the Raimi movies, but I can at least still say they're just bad Spider-Man movies. I don't even know what to call these. Homecoming and Far From Home. I broke them down in the sense I think they're fine MCU movies, meaning they're whatever. They serve whatever purpose for the MCU, but they're terrible Spider-Man movies. Like, they're almost not even Spider-Man movies. Like, I can at least say the Raimi films have their fucking issues. Not the Raimi films, keep saying that. The Garfield ones have their issues, but at least they got the core of Spider-Man right. Because Garfield Spider-Man isn't some fucking popular kid who gets everything from Tony Stark. You know? And it's not. I think another problem I really had was I'm tired of high school Spider-Man. Spider-Man's best stories were when he was in college. I think even in the cartoon, after a while he stopped being in school. They started, I think, or at least in high school. I think they put him in like college. That's where I think personally where Spider-Man should be. He should be college age. Why is he in fucking high school again? Not even they don't. His best stories aren't even when he's in high school. Um, like, you know what the best Spider-Man in the last few years has been? The PS4 game. Because it captures, like, that essence, right? The Uncle Ben stuff. Yes, there's nods to other characters, so it is technically a shared universe. You know, because they reference the Avengers. I think they reference Fantastic Four. and other characters, but they still make it at its core a Spider-Man game. You know, you have Mary Jane, you have like all those elements. You know, Spider-Man's not in fucking high school. That's the kind of Spider-Man I want in the theater, like in cinema. That's not what we're getting now. We're getting high school Spider-Man just because some people are happy he's in the MCU and that's all they could see. I'm sorry. Yes, I haven't been a Spider-Man fan in a few years, but I can at least still say this really bothers me as how they've been handling him. He was cool in Civil War, but that was it. And then he just went downhill from there. It just um, they have to keep him in high school. The whole he feels like a sidekick, and Spider-Man should not be a sidekick. He's not. Spider-Man is his own man for a big reason why for a while he didn't join the Avengers. He wanted to be his own hero, and it just seems like they're not. They don't have that. He relies so much on Tony. Or even look at the scene in Endgame. I'll even bring this up. When fucking Captain Marvel has the fucking gauntlet, Tony's like, hi. Make them all fucking have them all cowering to fucking shitty Captain Marvel. And then the whole cringy high Peter Parker, and then he just gives her the shield because we'll handle it here. Let's make Spider-Man our. When I was growing up, he was the face of Marvel. Like Spider-Man was on par with Batman and Superman, you know. And you're gonna fucking tell me, let's make him look like a fucking bitch because we got to do a shitty girl power scene. Bravo, Marvel. I want Sony to get the rights back. Honestly, I would love right now. I don't think it's going to happen, but if Sony's like, fuck you, we're taking the character back, and we're just going to put him in our Venomverse. Because in my opinion, I think he has far more of a chance there, because we might actually get Spider-Man, actual Spider-Man, not fucking kid Spider-Man anymore. Spider-Boy is something. I've been calling him Iron Boy Jr., because essentially that's what he is. And he's Tony Stark's sidekick. It's like, it's really pathetic that 2 movies of his own, they're not even Spider-Man movies. You know, just because, he's with the MCU. And this is one big reason I didn't really want the X-Men to come in the MCU, because I think they're going to ruin them. That's going to be a video at some point to explaining why I don't want the MCU. I mean, why the X-Men. I don't want X-Men having the MCU. Fuck. I don't want the MCU having X-Men. But just, like, in general, like, this isn't Spider-Man, you know, and I understand why some people like him. They like seeing him team up with the other Avengers. Don't get me wrong, I got caught up in that initially, but then just seeing I think it was after Homecoming. Like, even his fighting, like, is fucking inconsistent. He was going toe-to-toe with Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Falcon in Civil War, but then the next fucking movie, Homecoming, which is like right after Civil War, he has trouble beating up robbers, and then has a shitty final fight with. I think honestly, the final fight in both movies, Homecoming and Far War, were fucking terrible, and that's really sad because Spider-Man movies, even the fucking Garfield ones, had decent final battles. So that is sad that. You know, it just, nothing feels like his, you know, and Spider-Man's one of those characters, it's so easy, but they don't want to. Oh, and another big problem I've been having is they're shoving so many extra characters in his movies. Like, that's why when I first heard, when Homecoming happened, I'll admit, they didn't put Tony in it as much as I thought they were, but I still think it was a bit excessive. He should have only had like 2 scenes. And then Far From Home, you have a bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. people. It's like, come on. This is a Spider-Man story. Spider-Man stories have always been self-contained. And I hate the fucking excuse of, it's a shared universe. You don't have to connect everything. For example, sorry about that, I knocked a glass bottle over. But, people may not love the DCU, but one thing they did decently is, they have the team-up movies, but then when they go on their own, they're their own stories, self-contained stories. And personally, that's what I was wanting from the MCU. For a while, it was like that. Like, Winter Soldier was a self-contained story. Yeah, you had Falcon and Black Widow. Those are the only real Avengers. But other than that, it was very much a Captain America movie. I'll even give Ragnarok that. Ragnarok, as much as I did not like it, at least was a Thor movie. Like, but for some reason with the Spider-Man ones, we cannot have it be a self-contained Spider-Man story because Spider-Man has always been his own hero. In the comics, for example, used to be like that. Yeah, you had the big team-up comics, but when the heroes would go on their own and do their own stories, they're their own. They're not. They might make a quick reference. It's fine if they do a quick reference in the second one. Let's say to Endgame, Tony. That's it. But Shield, and then who knows? Third one they might have an extra character. So Spider-Man can't even be on his own. Spider-Man was always. I'm gonna keep reiterating this. Self-contained stories. He was always his own hero. But it just that element's not there anymore. It's just, oh, we gotta shove it in the big world of the MCU, so we gotta make a million references. We gotta have the robbers wearing Avengers masks. Like, I just wanted to get all that off my chest. Um, but other than that, I'll, next video we'll try to do this week. I don't know what it's gonna be on yet, but I just wanted to get this off my chest, so I'll see you guys next time. Peace.